Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap and also welcome to the success story series that we are currently running for RBI examination. So we have Mr. Samyak Bhandari with us. He has cleared RBI Grade B 2022 examination. So what all the strategies did he follow? How was his journey and what are the key takeaway that we can take from his uh, inspiring journey that he has gone through? Everything is this particular interview, it is all about that. So, sir, before starting, first of all, heartiest congratulations for finally being into the prestigious organization. And we also welcomed you to the EduTap platform.
Hi, ma'am. Hi to everyone who is watching this video. Thank you for the congratulations. It is indeed a great moment for me because it was always my, I would say, dream to join RBI. So, yes, I feel very grateful at this point of time.
Right. So, sir, most of the aspirant first they would want to have a brief understanding of your educational background and at what point did you feel like that you want to join RBI and you started working for it?
Yes, ma'am, sure. So, actually, I'm a chartered accountant. I wrote my CA finals in December 20 exams, and in that attempt, I qualified. Uh, when it came to RBI, I registered myself for the very first attempt in 2021, just after my CA finals. So RBI at that point of time was my backup. In case I didn't clear my CA, so I would write the RBI exams and I would join RBI. But somehow I cleared my CA finals exam and the RBI prep took a toll. So I thought, okay, let us join the movement and not to take any more exams for the timing. So the preparation took a toll, and I was not very serious with that attempt. So
Yeah.
somehow I attempted it, but as expected, I failed in that examination. Also, I was working at that point of time in one of the big fours in the tax and regulatory advisory team.
Right.
Now, coming to this year, I had also written SEBI exam. So during this year, just after my SEBI means, I got to know that RBI is coming with a notification. So at that point of time, I think in the later half of this March, I started my, I would say, core prep with the RBI exams.
Right. So as you said that you are a CA, so CA must they have a lot of opportunity in terms of salary and everything. In private sector, there would be a lot more than if we compare to the public sector. So why, like, it was always your dream to join some public organization only, or it was just with the course of time you felt like that you will be much suitable for such organizations?
Ma'am, earlier I wanted to have a good corporate career, but when I came to KPMG at Mumbai for my CA articleship, so I realized that I have a very deep interest toward regulations. I used to be a consultant. I used to advise clients on tax laws and regulations. So I always wanted to switch to the other side of the table, that is being a regulator, to understand how regulations are made, what is the rationale behind them, how they are implemented. And ma'am, that was coupled with my deep interest in financial sector space.
Right.
So primarily, I did not want to come to RBI, but my interest towards regulations made me very keen to apply to RBI.
Right. So that was a brief introduction about you. And now we'll start with the preparation for phase one. Now, as you said that you have cleared your CA in 2020 only, and of course it has its past syllabus, and that is completely different of what is asked in RBI entrance examination. And you must be having have lost touch with quant reasoning and also with the GA portion. So how did you prepare for that? What sources did you prefer? Let's start with quant reasoning and English, and then we'll move ahead and in detail we'll understand how did you prepare for GA, that is general awareness.
Ma'am, when it comes to quants and reasoning, I find myself quite comfortable with the numbers and calculations part. So I did not very specifically prepare topic wise on quants and reasoning. Rather, what I did was I tried to attempted sectional mocks. So from there, I used to analyze my weak areas, and thereafter I practiced more upon those. So I would not say I had gone through each and every topic of quants and reasoning, as I find myself very good with quants and reasoning. So
Right.
yes, majority of my time was spent in giving mocks and analyzing them. And wherever I felt that I have some shortcoming, I would watch videos on YouTube with respect to the shortcut tricks and everything.
Right. So even though you're good with numbers, but still you felt that there is a need for constant revision, so
Yes,
that to understand what are the weaknesses and strength of yours, and so that you can focus on that accordingly.
yes.
Right,
Continuous mocks and tests were there, ma'am.
right.
So
And
yes.
so please continue.
Yes, and I tried to, identify the weak areas as you have said. So based on that, my preparation was there for quants and reasoning.
All right. And sir, now coming to the GA portion, because there a lot of data is asked, and then it's completely different because in CA examination there is no general awareness that is being
No,
asked, and then straight to RBI there's a lot of facts, data that you have to remember. So what source did you prefer, and how did you continue with the revision and everything?
yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, I have this habit of updating myself with what is happening around. So, I do not consider that as a part of my core preparation for RBI. But whenever I am able to pull out time, I like to read articles, news on, say, money control, economic times, India Today. Wherever I get time, I read those articles. So, that helped me a lot to have an understanding. When it comes to facts and figures, ma'am, I relied mostly upon the weekly and monthly magazines of the various coaching institutes. So I used to grab those and I used to read them and revise them again and again. To have a comprehensive coverage, I used to give mocks of them as well, of most mocks and PDF tests of most of the coaching institute, so as to see whether my coverage is comprehensive or not. And whenever I feel that there is something lacking, I would jot down those points and I would cover them later on. So this also, there has been a lot of reverse learning, like first you attempt the test and then you identify areas and then prepare accordingly.
Right. And what do you feel like the importance of mock test is? Are the questions relatable to what is asked in examination, or it just a good source of revision anyhow?
Ma'am, I feel that mock have played a very great role in what results I have. So my preparation, as I've said, was mostly based upon relearning. So I used to attempt mocks and I used to analyze the detailed answer, not just the answer which is A, B, C, D. I used to analyze the detailed answer. I used to
Right,
read everything behind it. So yes, I feel that the mocks are a very good source for revision as well as practice and time management. So
right.
yes, mocks help me a lot with that.
Right. So if we talk about phase one, so we know that you have to qualify the minimum cutoff, and then it's about a overall cutoff also that we have you have to qualify. So if we talk about like you are good in numbers, so you focus more on QRE, or as GA it constitute the maximum portion, so you focused on GA more. Means on which sections did you practice more where you could feel like that okay, by this your overall cutoff it will be clear.
I'm considering the time cost analysis. I would say I focus more upon general awareness because the questions in reasoning as well as quants were very difficult. Last year they were difficult, so I felt that I should focus more upon scoring in GA and I should try to get the sectional cutoff in reasoning and quants, which I was very easily able to get through. So I focused more upon GA part and the English part where I could score more.
Right. So basically, you focused more on your strength where you knew that there are more chances of getting marks instead of giving time to all the subjects that are there.
Yes.
So that was for phase one, and now we'll move ahead to phase two. And along with that, I would also want to ask that you did everything as being a working aspirant.
Yes.
And of course, CA curriculum, it is altogether different from the pattern that is of RBI. And along with jobs, so how did you manage the time? That is the one basic thing that any working aspirant would want to understand.
Ma'am, first of all, when I qualified my CA, I had a I would say, a very demanding job at the KPMG. So I used to be
Right,
a consultant there. So I used to work there till August 21. Thereafter, resigned and I joined IFCO, which is the world's largest cooperative society. So time management has been one of my strengths because CA curriculum has made me very good in time management.
right,
So I used to come from office by say 6 or 7 p.m. Then I used to have my food and I used to sleep by 8 or 9 p.m. max by 8 or 9 p.m. and then I used to wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. So I could get ample amount of time in the morning where I am very efficient when it comes to studies. So I used to study from say 3 or 4 a.m. to 7 or 8 a.m. in the morning, which was very effective study. Uh, Putting everything aside, mobile, laptop, tablet, everything aside. So only studies were there.
Right. So it's the dedication that is required
Yes,
when you're preparing for such examination, and then waking up at 2 and preparing continuously and then going to job as well. And as
yes,
you said, you were associated with such a prestigious organization. So of course the workload load would be like that only.
yes,
But still it's what you really need and you really want, and then working hard for that. So that's really inspiring. And now we'll move to phase 2. So in that, we have two paper, one is for English and another is for ESI and FM. So how we'll start with the ESI and FM portion. I'm assuming that FM would be a little bit easier for you
yes, ma'am.
considering the CA background. So we'll start with FM. How did you prepare?
Sure,
Then
ma'am.
we'll move to ESI, and then at the end we'll discuss English. So, over to you.
Sure, ma'am. When it comes to finance and management, so finance static portion, I was having a good knowledge, fair amount of knowledge, I would say, because of my educational background and the professional working experience which I have. So at currently I handle the corporate finance profile at IFCO. So I have to keep myself updated with what is happening around in the finance world, like what is the repo and what are the T-bills and everything, like commercial papers and everything. So I try to keep myself updated with that. Majority of static portion was also covered in my CA curriculum, wherein I had one optional subject, which is financial service and capital markets. So in CA course, the institute gave us a choice to select six among one papers among six. So I
Hmm.
chose capital markets.
Okay.
So where I got a holistic coverage of all these things. Or I would say I also refer to the notes of coaching institutes and the mocks, but that were for the balance portion which I was not able to cover through my educational background and professional experience.
Right.
When it
See, as you have the background as as you were saying, but that would be very vast. And in RBI, only a portion of it would have been asked. So, how did you revised all of thing, or you were selective with approach, and how did you manage that then?
Here also, ma'am, I attempted the test and mocks first. So I identified those areas where I should read upon more. So that is how I did it.
Right. And now coming to ESI.
Ma'am, I think
Yeah.
I need to discuss about the management portion as well.
Okay. Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So when it comes to management, I had written the SEBI exam this year. So I had reached in interview and I missed by a very slight margin. So during SEBI, I had read upon the management notes. So the notes which were available in open source, so I have referred them with respect to management theories and the functions of management. So that helped me. So I did not very specifically prepared for RBI management. The SEBI preparation helped me in the RBI exam.
Right. So in general, you studied about management, and that helped you with RBI.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so it's really true that whatever you're studying, it never goes to waste. So there,
Yes,
in
ma'am.
somehow it is going to help you, and that too in a very beautiful way. So that is for FM that we have discussed, and now let's move to ESI, because I think that is something that is
Yes.
completely different of
Yes.
your background that you are having. So how did
Yes.
you manage that?
When it comes to ESI, ma'am, I refer to the monthly magazines of various coaching institutes. Then again, I gave mocks, analyzed my performance. I supplemented it with PIB summary analysis. So I used to read the paragraphs of PIB. And ma'am, when it comes to ESI, I used to refer, I mean, multiple sources. ESI was something which I was not very comfortable with. So as to have a holistic and comprehensive coverage, I used to gather notes of various coaching institutes and I used to read them and attempt all the mocks that I could. For facts, I used to make notes so that I could remember the facts and figures, like what is India's ranking in so and so test, who so and so report, and who conducts that report. So for my ESI, I would say I have relied mostly on the coaching materials and the
Right.
mocks.
So, for that, if we talk about descriptive writing,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
for ESI also, did you just study everything that the coaching institutes were providing with, or you were very selective with the topics that you need to cover for the descriptive point of view?
Ma'am, I made sure whatever I am reading is crisp and precise.
Hmm.
When it comes to descriptive, I was already, as I've said, I used to read the articles, every
Right.
articles on, say, Money Control, Economic Times, Hindu. So I used to read articles, which gave me a decent amount of understanding, and I had good drafting skills. So yes, when it
Right.
comes to coaching, I was selective, and I thought, ki, let it be very crisp and precise so as to have an understanding.
Right. And this will be your first time with the descriptive writing as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
this was.
So, how did you, what do you feel like a good descriptive writing, like that particular answer should be? What are the different components or anything that you feel like it's important to be mentioned in the answer?
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, when it comes to descriptive, there are few components that a candidate should focus upon. One is grammar, content, of
Oh.
course,
Hmm.
vocabulary. So, ma'am, what I feel that the descriptive papers are checked through some computer system, because the timeline within which the examination body is providing the result, it becomes very difficult for a manual checker to check this and provide his marks. So I feel that majority of focus would be on grammar and the
Right.
word limit and the vocabulary. So content should be there, it should be relevant, but what if I am not having proper grammar? I'm putting the content very good, but the grammar is not there, the word limits are not adhered to. So I tried to focus more upon the grammar, word limit, and vocab, though content was also there.
Right. So, for word limit, did you try to meet all the minimum criteria or the maximum criteria that is there, or they were just on an average you wrote the word count on every answer?
Ma'am, I applied a thumb rule, plus minus 5%. If I had good content, I would not hesitate to keep it to plus 5%. If I feel that I am writing something, some unnecessary stuff, then I would restrict it to, but uh, I would I would adhere it to minus 5%. I would not go below that.
But it is somewhere around that word limit only.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Right. So that was for ESI and FM part. And if we talk about English, we have precis, we have essays. So, how did you started preparing for that, and what was your approach for it?
Ma'am, when it comes to English descriptive, I had already written in SEBI exam, so
Right.
I had a good, decent experience, I would say. Uh, Now this relates again back to my professional working experience. So, being a consultant at one of the big fours, I had good drafting skills because I was part of tax and regulatory advisory team, wherein we used to draft advisory to clients. So, majority of my work was based upon that and email drafting. So I was good with drafting skills, I believe, and the typing speed was good enough. So to give a edge to the preparation, I attempted few of the questions of the coaching institutes with respect to the reading comprehension, the precis, and the essay. So that is what I did, and I did that on a keyboard which is not so good. On a keep say 100 rupees keyboard, I tried that so that I have a real exam time
Real time
experience.
experience. Yeah.
Yes, and I did that on the interface which is usually provided by IBPS.
All right.
So
So, yeah, so you gave yourself a mock test regarding that as well, a mock drill of
yes,
the
five to
kind of
six, I
interview.
would say. I would say 5 to 6 mock drills I've done.
Okay. So, for that, now we have come up now to the next portion, which is that of interview.
Yes.
So, when you cleared your phase two, so after that, what was your initial reaction, and what was the strategy that you made in mind that now this is what I have to follow for the interview? And as you said that before SEBI interview, you have appeared in, so there are some learnings from that as well. So I think aspirants they would want to know about the learnings and the do's and don'ts that you have learned from your experience.
So, ma'am, when the phase two results were announced, actually I was not expecting for me to clear the exams because ESI portion was something which was not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
So somehow I cleared, and as you know, the ESI portion this year was very difficult, and no one is yet to say, okay, my coverage was holistic, and if you have referred so and so notes, you could clear ESI. So the ESI was really difficult, and I was really expecting that things might go otherwise. So the phase two results were announced, and somehow I cleared. So that was a savior, because I think around a few days back only I got my CB results, wherein I missed by a slight margin. So that was really a savior for me. When it come to interview preparation, I had experience from my SEBI interview, and considering the RBI's past marking range in interview, it is very extreme. They score from around 3 to 73 out of 75. So that haunted me. It I felt that okay, phase two has no relevance. If they want to hire me, they would give me 70 plus,
Yeah.
and if they don't want me, they would just give me a single digit mark, and things would be over.
Yeah.
So I had a fair amount of time. I think 2 months. So I focused majorly upon my profile. So whatever biodata I had, I knew each and every word of that. So any cross question on that, I prepared some random questions and I answered them myself. So anything from my biodata, I tried to be very confident on that. Uh, HR questions I also prepared, but when it comes to the technical part, so fortunately my interview was 2 months. So I started with the previous year transcripts. So I took a print of them and I used to read those questions and I used to answer them. So I marked those questions where I could answer confidently as well as convincingly. So I need not refer them again.
Yeah.
Where the questions which were say I would say would require some expertise or some knowledge, then I jotted those points in one of the word files in table format. I wrote those topics, and against those I wrote those what is in brief against those topics, or what could be the possible answer to this. So that is how I done my interview preparation. At the end of the time, I guess I had some 30 to 40 pages of that notes which I referred. So that really helped me during last few days of my preparation. And I would really like to thank the other candidates, because this year I felt that most of the candidates shared their transcript as soon as the interview got over. So that really helped me to understand what panel is trying to seek, is trying to look into the candidate.
Right.
So yes,
Right. And about the panel, if we talk about, so were you grilled or was the panel very cordial with you?
ma'am, I felt the panel was very cordial. Though the experience of others says otherwise, the candidates which had interviewed just before me, they said that panel is grilling and their interview got over in say 7 or 8 minutes. So I was
Mm.
like, they are not in good mood. So I went there with a very good smile. So yeah, so they were very cordial. In fact,
Right.
I was in fact not expecting to be them.
And one more thing which most aspirant that they worry about, that if they are not able to answer the question, any question. So did you face any such situation during the interview?
Yes, ma'am. In fact, I faced. Though I was able to answer majority of questions, as majority of the interview was revolving around my educational background and my work profile. But at last, the chairman asked me two questions, which I had some idea, but I would not say I had a very crisp answer. So I started saying, the chairman said, "You need to tell me something which is very technical.
Mm.
Do not give me vague answers." So, sir, sorry, sir, I am not able to recollect, but I'll surely read upon it.
Right.
So that's how I responded, and he seemed
Right.
okay. So
Yeah, because it happens that there can be times that you cannot actually recollect things, or you
yes, ma'am.
may not have the idea, but that's okay, because
Yes,
it's not just about that one question that is going to decide everything. But as much as we have understood that in interview you should be very thorough with the bio data that you are providing with,
yes, ma'am.
because that would act as a base for
Yes, ma'am.
whatever be the communication between you and the panel would be. And whatever you have written, so of course you should have a proper knowledge regarding that as
Yes,
well. Right. So this was what the overall understanding that we have from Sir's experience. For phase one, he says give a lot of mocks, because that would help you to understand about the time management that you have to prepared for during the examination. It will help you to identify your strengths and weakness. It will help you to know that which topics you are lacking in and what you need to prepare. And talking about phase two, he says that how he had referred to different sources. He has practiced all the mocks in the same interface that is provided during the examination, because that is very necessary, because the interface, it is quite different from the normal computer or laptops that we use. So you should be better prepared with that. And for the interview, he says you should be thorough with whatever you are presenting in the biodata, because that is what you are communicating to the panel, that yes, this is you and you should be aware of what you are. So this is overall, I think, is there something that I've missed?
No, ma'am, you have not missed anything. It
Right.
was very, very precise and to the point, yeah, and
Right.
covered comprehensively. Yeah.
So, sir, anything that you want to say to the aspirants who would be preparing for the next year cycle of RBI Grade B?
Yes, ma'am, surely. So there are, in fact, 2 points. One is that candidates try to focus directly upon phase two. So to them, I would say first try to have a good base in phase one, as majority of the candidates get eliminated in phase one.
True.
So we have a Telegram group where the candidates who are yet to appear for phase one, they are asking whether my profile is good enough for interview or not. I say them, please clear phase one and phase two first, and then we'll talk of interview. So yes, phase one is very important, because out of 2 lakh candidates, only 3,500 or 3,600 got qualified this year. So this is a major filter which gets applied at very early. So candidates should try to have a good base when it comes to phase one, and they can simultaneously start preparation for phase two. But phase one preparation should not take a toll.
True.
And the second advice is that I have seen we have actually a group of the selected candidates, and I feel that majority of us are working candidates.
Hmm.
I would say around 60 to 70% of us are working. So I see many aspirants, they give up their job to prepare full time for this regulatory exams. So one piece of advice is to them is to write each and every exam and to get a job at the very first, because the exams are unpredictable. There are 2 lakh candidates and only 238, 200 to 300 are going to get the
True.
job. So one should have a job in hand before preparing for regulatory exams, because this is not UPSC where there is ocean of syllabus and anything could be asked.
Right.
So this is very personal, but my suggestion is to have a job in hand first.
To have a security first.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
so that you, even if when you're preparing, you are free minded, that there's nothing to lose,
yes,
even if you
yes,
can't make it.
yes. That is what mentally I had mentality I had when I had given phase one, phase two, and interview. So I was always clear. I have nothing to lose. I'll only learn from here.
Right. That's so true. So that is all what we have understood from the Samyak Bhandari journey. And I know, and I'm really confident that all the aspirants who are watching this interview, they are going to learn something for their preparation. And thank you so much, sir, for joining with us, for sharing your experience, and all the very best for the future journey.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot for this interview.
Yeah.